Hey guys, and welcome back. Sport Tracks. Hopefully this will be the last video on this thing. We got it frame repaired. The carb was messed up, took care of that. The drain plug had a crack in the casing. We epoxied around that to seal that. And now we are to the point where brakes need to be worked on. And I think the front's okay, but the rear is supposed to have a bunch of levers on the hand grip over there. And it's got a foot control over here. First problem is that foot control is just seized right up, and it's not the cable. The cable still flops around freely. It's just that this pivot is in need of some love. So I'm gonna sit you up on the stand. Let's get that knocked out and get all these brake things put back together. So I'd say we start with maybe some lube and beatings. I can start my mornings that way. Yeah. With that, let's see. That is one frozen puppy. I'm gonna get the floor jack out and jack it up. Floor jack. That's just gonna lift the whole four-wheeler up. But possibly, I can kind of get on her. Get that out of the way. I don't think there's any rubber bushings in there. Sometimes there is. Sometimes on each end of the shaft there's a rubber bushing. That actually would stop me from being able to get any penetrant in there. But as far as heat, I would figure I'd bake them up. So that's why I'm trying it this way first. There you go. So you guys get the idea. What I'm going to try, I don't know, next 5 minutes or so. If that don't do it, we'll try something else. I think we're going to go with the heat and beat method. I took the cotter pin and the ring out of the end of it. I'd like to just drive it right off the end and clean it up, put it back together. But right now it's so tight, you're not even going to be able to get that done. So let's see if we can maybe get it freed up, and then it'll come off and go from there. Enough talking. No juice. So that should expand, the outer ring should expand open more as it gets hot, and let itself go. Again, in our area, all the stuff goes underwater. Somebody was asking in the last video if I drill holes in the frame where I repaired it, and I'm still kind of up in the air about that. For one, is it kind of helps cause half the problem in the first place, but if it does get water in it, it will let it out. But our area is so muddy and nasty that it doesn't do well. That's not me panting. Just so you know. Getting better. Probably work that a little bit more with heat and whatnot, and I'll bring you back. So that's proven to put up a fight. So I decided to air impact and a slightly modified drive rod. That's my bet. Problem is, there's no place really good to hit on it, so I'm going to try coming from the other side and wailing on it from there. What do you say we give her a shot or two? All right, hold. Open up a little space there or not? Nothing. Alright, well, through the process of beating, heating, swearing, and a couple of love taps here and there, I got it to the point where at least the pedal kind of moves, but I mean, it really should be taken care of a little bit better. It wouldn't come off even after I got freed up like this. I came back with the impact gun, tried driving it off. It's not happening. I don't want to damage anything, and I also don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of time on this for what it is. So what I'm going to do is, there should be a rubber seal here. I already took the rubber seal off of this side. I'm going to drill a hole right about there in the bottom, probably about the same size as that, and we're going to go shoot some lube inside there and be done with it. Let's see if we can get to start to drill without having to center punch it. Just in that pile of rust that started coming up, I made it through. Let's go with, I don't know, some PB Blaster, probably first bead of breast to try and break up that rust. Probably what I really should do is take a, drill it up to the size of a grease fitting, put a grease fitting on the back of it. We just load it up goob. I want to see it start coming out of that front side, then I know it's getting pretty good. Because what's going to happen if I didn't do that, if I just left it alone, this thing sits over the winter, you know, after it stops being used again, it's just going to go right back to the way it was. So. A little more. And I think maybe I'll blow it out some compressed air. Try to clear out that cavity as much as I could, and then I'll go back with oil. That's pretty good. Yeah, I want it to fall. I'm to that point now. Good. Yeah, so that worked out good. I took the air gun, I shot it in there, and I worked the pedal back and forth, and it blew out around there. Can you tell? I just started wiping it off. So I think we're going to go with, because I have it, fluid film, penetrant and lubricant. And we're just kind of get that to stay inside there. Fill the cavity with lubricant and protectant. Look at it. Its words, not mine. Alright, so that I think is sure a lot better than what we had. So I'm gonna go start putting those pieces back on, put a new cotter key on, and we'll get into chasing some cables and work our way around, I guess. So I got the foot pedal all hooked up. Not hooked up, but all operational, put back together. But I guess it would be a good time to see if we got rear brakes. Bearings don't feel that bad either. Alright, that's good. Alright, so I'm going to continue moving forward with what I said. I'm going to go, I think he might have a new cable for the foot brake. Let's get that hooked up and put it into place, and then we'll worry about the handlebars. Hey guys, it's like 2 days later from where I ended off on this video, what you were watching. So I'm getting to the point where it's pretty much almost ready to get this thing out of the garage. I did not turn the camera on for a bunch of the assemblies just because I wanted to knock it out for the most part. But new cables are installed, the brakes are all set up, they are doing what they're supposed to. The front grip setup is all put together. It's got reverse setup on it too, so you push the button down for reverse, and I think you pull the lever. Yeah, you pull the lever, and that allows you to pull the cable. That cable runs down to here, and inside the transmission, all that does is allow a gate to open up so that you got 1 through 5 going up with the gears all the way down. You get to first, and then you get to neutral. It's not like a motorcycle where, you know, 1 down, 4 up. It's 5 up, then go down to neutral. It won't go any further, but if you push the lever up there, it'll allow it to go all the way down, and click 1 more click and it'll go into reverse. That lockout seems to work fine. I think, did I tighten that up? Yeah. Alright, so that guy's ready to go. And tire pressures are done. You know, the little maintenance-y kind of items are taken care of. So I think we're to the point where we can go flip the thing back up on the back wheels and finish welding up a bar or something to go across as a skid plate to save the bottom of that engine, and then all over with the test drive. So I got the machine flipped up on its ass end here, getting ready to re-weld a new support back in here of some sort. It's the one we cut out on the last video, trying to find the oil leak, and the old one was not much more than pretty much pressed sheet metal, but you can see right there is where it was up against the case and kind of chattering into the case, and it had an oil leak. And I was afraid the oil leak was being caused by that, so I ended up cutting that out of the way to get a better visual of what it was. But it ended up being a crack coming from the drain plug straight through the case where the 2 case halves meet. Well, I guess a bunch of people had different ways of wanting to cure that. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I TIG weld it? Why didn't I V it out? Why did I use JB weld? Why did I do this? Why did I do all these different kind of combinations? Well, my opinion is to try to be the quickest and the easiest first before you start taking stuff apart and possibly causing more damage. And that's probably the reason why I went what I did. I did not want to damage it any further. The crack that goes between there when the drain plug was out, I showed it on the last video, only had about 2 threads. It only dropped in about 2 threads, and then it was hollow on the back side in one spot where the crack was. So if I went to go V that out, it's already whatever 2 threads is, 1/8 inch, something like that, of material. If I want to go hollow that out and try to fill that with JB weld, I'm making the case even thinner than what it is. So plus I also, you don't even know what's in there. You could just start drilling inside there and V'ing it out, and as soon as you go in a little bit, you break right through. So I didn't want to go about that route. I also don't find JB weld, I shouldn't say that. JB weld sometimes it works great, sometimes doesn't work great at all. And the kind of the deciding factor is because it's a crack and it's an oil crankcase, between the 2 cracks, the aluminum is cast. It's porous. If you were to take the brake, section it, and look at the face of it, it's just a porous pot metal kind of look to it, and it holds oil. Oil was leaking through there, so to be able to get that cleaned up and get all the contaminants out of there and get a good bond to it sometimes can be iffy. I'm not saying it can't be done, but sometimes it can be iffy. And the other one was well, let me finish with this one first. And then after you would JB weld that, there's a surface that was flat around there that the seal sits on. You would have to be able to machine that surface fairly flat to get the drain plug to fit back in. And can you do that? Yeah. How much time is it going to take you to do that? How much work? How much effort? This took us, what? It was a 5-minute repair. I don't want the drain plug coming back out again, because if, say if you V that out and you put the JB weld in there, the next person that goes to use the drain plug and run that in where that crack is, even after you fixed it all up, as soon as you go to cinch that down, it's wanting to open that crack up. It's just by the nature of what it is. So I don't want people screwing with this anymore, and I sealed it off. There's another drain plug right there, which is probably more towards the gearbox. That's why they made 2 of them, my guess. But all the oil can come out of there. I drained all the oil out of that when I stood it up. It all peed out of the bottom of it. So there was still a way to get the oil out of this machine. All right, moving on to TIG welding. TIG welding, kind of the same thing. Porous cast aluminum does not take to welding very well, especially the older it gets. Aluminum is very sensitive to contaminants, so the same holds true with the oil being down inside the crack, having to be able to try to get in there and clean it very well. When you heat it, it's going to weep up the oil from the bottom of the crack, so even if you V out an area to TIG weld, to go back and fill that in, as you're heating that up, aluminum first takes a lot of heat to go and do that. The oil is going to want it to pull forward up out of the crack while you're trying to do it, and all you can be doing is keep getting craters. The other thing is there's a gasket right there, so if you were to TIG weld that up, you're going to compromise this surface where this gasket is, and I do not feel like splitting this engine, taking it apart and repairing that, just because I wanted to try to attempt to TIG weld it and get it a perfect repair. This machine does not warrant that kind of effort. It's just not what it is. You know, it's just a beat up ratty four-wheeler that we're just trying to bring back to life. You know, it's missing, there's a guard missing here to protect the ass end of it. Here's the screws from where it used to be. So that's my opinion. It worked. If that didn't work, I probably would have tried some kind of JB weld or something after that, but that's holding it, so I'm going to move forward from there. Now let's go get ourselves, we already have it, piece of metal. This is fairly thick. I want to say that that is 1/2 inch. I'm going to guesstimate, and we're going to go cut that down so that fits between there and there. And essentially it's going to be a skid plate. Usually when on four-wheelers you kind of slide over stuff, rocks, down trees and all. So it's going to be on parallel with these two guys, but just in case there's a rock or something it's in the middle of it, you just want something that's not going to punch through the center of the case. And it's about half the thickness of what was there before. The other one was, well, you can see it. It was that thick. So yeah, we're missing it. Maybe an inch, 1/2 inch, something like that. So we're gonna cut that down. We'll weld that into place, and we'll move on from there. I just got done finished welding up a little support bar in the middle there, and it's probably got probably about a little under 1/2 inch or so between the trans and the bottom, and it looks like it's pretty much on par with the frame rails. So again, if I go to skip down and roll over a rock or something, it's just trying to help it, keep it from punching and hanging up on the case, and sliding over logs. Not that these two again won't do that. Some of the questions that were being brought up the last time is, why don't I drill holes? Or you blocked off the holes in the frame, meaning this section here, there was a hole drilled here and there was a hole drilled here. I kind of went back and forth with that. I kind of feel that that is doing more damage than good, because every time you go through water, it actually is allowing the frame to fill up with crap and cause the issue that it has now. Our area, our terrain is basically, we have a little bit of everything. There's nothing safe. You know, we got sand, rocks, dirt, mud, snow, trees, and they get hammered pretty good, and again, they get submerged and everything else. The holes get a tendency to clog up fairly quickly, so they fill up with crap, fill up with mud, the hole gets plugged, the stuff doesn't come back out, and it causes them to rot out. So I kind of went back and forth in my mind what I wanted to do with those, and I decided that that's what I want to do, is not drill the holes. I'm going to leave them plugged up. If the owner feels that he wants to drill those, he can, but I would suggest against it. You know, that's not drilled, that's not drilled, that's not drilled. Nothing is drilled in the front, and anywhere else except for the bottom two sections of that rail. I don't see holes in it anywhere that will allow water to go in other than that, so well, that is the plan that I'm going with. Hey, it's been sitting a day, cold start. I think the gas was still left on. We're gonna find out, right? We need key. Let's try it with no choke. I'm gonna have to hold you guys in the old, yeah, you know. Maybe you don't know. We'll put you right down there and give her a, that was rough. Reverse. You got to push this button down, that button, push that down, pull back, It'll allow you to go into reverse. Shore you guys up a little better. Why don't you hold on? That's the best way around that. That's looking a little rough. I think I missed the trail. If you guys who haven't been following Brian, he's been working on that 64 VW Bug, and he pulled the engine out, tore it apart, cleaned it all up, put all new seals in it. Had the heads off, put new push rod tubes in it, main seal. What else did you do?
That
Carb.
was it. Carb rebuild. And that was about it.
And a lot of paint. You know,
A lot of red removal. It was red and it was horrible.
So if you guys want to pop over to VW Nuts channel, he's in the process of going through that bug slowly but surely, and the welding's coming up next, hopefully.
Floor removal.
Yeah. Shall we? A little bumpy. Shut you guys down here. I want to thank all you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.